Fucker. My channel, please. Not live? Why? Why you lie? Why you lying like that? Why you lying like that, Twitch app? Why you gotta be like this? Every day. Every fucking time. I tried stream. You gotta be a pain in my ass. Twitch app is the worst app ever invented. Now I made sure my apples have no water. Fuck it. Oh, my apples. Fucker. Back to reserve. Back to the job. Okay. 56%. Everything else. Everything else. I just can't with it. I just can't. Rocks are part of the plan. So I had some lunch. Watched some videos. Tried to reassure my wife that things are going to be okay. Right? Like, where are you from? Limp Biscuit. It's all about that nooks and crannies. All about the nookie. The nookie. You take that cookie. Shove it up your ass. Shove it up your ass. Power washing. Chill and stuff. This is bitch. I didn't finish one. Come on. This is why I hate this. Like, it's so fucking hard to just figure out going. Because I had a pattern for everything else. Now this. So big and ordinary Dr. Power Wash. Got Dirty House and use some TLC. Oh yeah, we can do that. Shock absorbing compound for the playground. Not good old fashioned Cressley. Cement. Basically. Ghouls. Doot. Doot doot doot. Slide is pissing me off. This slide looks like a fucking tongue. Really? Blah. Yeah. 100% tongue. I have no idea. End of the world as we I feel fine. Bring it on. You know, just as I was gonna hit tab, you fucking dinged. Realize that? Do realize what I just told you. Urgh. I gotta actually be crouched to find the damn thing. Didn't want to have to crouch and like go back 7,000 feet apart, but okay. Hell. When the hell? So I was not expecting the tower trim to be all the way down the side. I thought it was individually parsed out, like the wall. Nope, the trim is the whole length. I have fucked up. Some of this I'm really starting to feel like maybe I'm... Wow. I'm... Like... I'm not timing this. God, this feels like I'm going so fast. Oh? Hmm. Torch struts for sure. Doing. Moving. Don't know. Two. Where are we going with this? Nice. Dings. Just make me good. Exterior, just making my... I even have like a ladder in this level. Honestly, couldn't tell you. I don't remember. Yep. Oh no. mode is done. No. Oh, I have a feeling I'm gonna. Individual levels would probably be more unsafe. Honestly, if I ever had the time. I don't know what the rules are for Power Wash full game run. If they're allowed to be segmented or not. Right, all of this. I think honestly, speedrunning this game is just playing this game fast. Like, it's not about it's about knowing how the game works. Like, routing. Routing is what I'm saying. Is with career mode, it would be all routing. Because you start with no money and no equipment. Whereas individual levels, all equipment. So it's more of an equipment route than just like no. Just so weird thinking about going back to speedrunning, but not wanting to, but wanting to. You know what I mean? Like, the thing that I like about speedrunning is, right? It's about the support for doing something. And it's already built in because, I mean, you start speedrunning and, like, it's a thing, right? Like, you're striving for a thing. But, like, with things like this, you know, it's almost like the Dark Souls community or something like that, where, like, you have to you watch people more for, like, achieving shit, right? Like, I mean, it's just that, like, I don't care how many people watch me, but I do want to grow my audience. And for the sheer fact of, I don't know. I want to know if there's market for what I'm trying to do. Hold up a minute. Have an intro. It's just a moth. Ain't harming nothing. Chilling out by the window. But no, like, because I don't want to go back to speedrunning. But what I want to do is start, like, right now is the idea writing phase for Blossom Memory. And so, like, that's what's going on, right? But what I want to do is for that, like, for that thing, pick games where there's not, like, a lot of cutscenes. Or, like, if there are cutscenes, it's, you know, skippable, easily skippable cutscenes. And just play through, like, games. Or games where the cutscenes are interspersed more. Like, you know? I'm inside, I've got to inside of the roof and crap, because I don't want to do it later. No, what I was trying to say is, like, because I'm streaming them, so that way I can go back later and use it to help type up the Philosophy Memoir. You know? Have an archive on my computer. Or an archive, you know, of these. And, like, the quality doesn't matter. So, I'm, you know, uploading them as drafts, private drafts, YouTube. So then they're given the, you know, they're given a YouTube ID for, you know, going live, whatever, that speak to them. But I never make them public. I just will, you know, use them as stored data on my YouTube. Or, you know, going back and watching and typing along to philosophical things during my, you know, the writing phase of it. You know what I mean? Because this is not something I take lightly. Like, this has been the next project that I had planned since I'll publish my novel. It's just been so hard to articulate it outside of my brain. because slowly I've just been moving through these things that I've been interested in. You know? Like the way that I did speedrunning was because I was interested in it. I'm still interested in it. I'm still interested in, maybe going back to it at some point. But, like, the desire isn't there to be just doing only speedrunning. I've got other things on my to-do. Lots of memoirs. Because I can do it while streaming in my spare time, only doing for like an hour at a time, playing through, games where it doesn't have to be like scheduled. And it's just, whatever, whenever I can find it. Time for it. Yeah, like, since I've got the time and I've got the ability, I should. Like, today's a Saturday. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling alright. Don't have to work. Like, so I'm on this. Whoever comes to hang out, comes to hang out. And, here talking philosophy, thoughts on life, and try and remember various things. I can get them fucking down. Because I found that I always seem to remember more things on long car rides. And long car rides, my wife and I will talk to each other about things, about memories, about what's been going on, and we will just talk on car trips. We live fairly rural, so go to Walmart, like take a trip to Walmart every so often. Because they have stuff that the stores in town don't. It was even more true when we were living in the other place, because it was 15 miles to town, but 70 miles to Walmart. And so, you'd still have to go to Walmart to get stuff every once in a while, because that's where they had more stuff. Because the small store in town doesn't have everything. That's just the way it is. Like, I work at the store in town, one of the two stores in town, and it does not have everything food-wise. Because I eat gluten-free, thanks to fucking stomach becoming allergic to it a couple of years ago, and I'm still mad at it for doing that. Wish I could fucking eat gluten any day of the week. I miss it. I honestly miss it. 7 years since my body could process gluten, and I miss it. Okay, I am not taking this shit. God, gluten-free pasta tastes like ass. And I'm not fucking kidding you, like, compared to, like, real deal, honest fucking pasta. God, it just makes me so mad that I can't have real pasta because of gluten. That it is so necessary to the pasta process. And, like, I can't eat it. Can't drink delicious beers. Delicious craft beers. Can't eat white bread. And white bread's cheap as fuck. That's the other thing. Like, God, I wish I could save money on food. The difference in, like, bread for me versus bread for my wife is, like, $4 a loaf. Like, who wants that? Who wants to be paying $4 more for a loaf of fucking bread? Like, no one willingly does that, and if you are, you're fucking nuts. Or have no concept of of where money comes from. I'm sorry, but buying bread that's $2 more per loaf is just bad. Bad. Bread is supposed to be cheap. Bread is supposed to be like one of the fucking cheapest staple things in, you know, your diet. Bread and rice are supposed to be super fucking cheap. Bread, rice, and potatoes. Your starches. It's supposed to be the cheapest thing out there. And, like, to have your gluten-free bread be a bajillion times more than... Anyway. Off task. I mean, I'm not off task. My opinions on this matter, goddammit. As a member of a community of people who get told that we're fucking faking for health problems, it pisses me off. No fucking end. This is something I've had to deal with my whole life. I am profoundly hearing impaired. In my left ear. Have been since childhood. For very large portions of my life, I've been told I was faking my... Or it wasn't that bad. Not by my family members. Because they fucking knew I had to have surgeries for shit. They heard about the surgeries all the damn time. But no, it was other people. Church people. Schools. Daycare. Etc. Okay, I need to... Guard. Where is dirt on you? Dude. Oh, I'm a fucking killer. Goddamn. It's driving me. I love this game. But it is. Like, no. But yeah, I have no idea what it's gonna be. But I think I'm just gonna play through games. And do this. Like, the first double shoot. Oh, and Pokemon. Pokemon D&D on every other Sunday. Tomorrow's Pokemon. I don't know if, like, I'm gonna do anything for Pokemon, but Pokemon. But, like, it'll allow me to do, like, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. It's not speed running. Not... But it is? Like, it's segmented what this is. And it's not the same game. You know what I mean? Essentially, it's just gonna be a long place. Yeah. Because I've got a long list of want to get. Did 30. We should be starting at the bottom. Or should I, I'm already here, then do the top and then go back to the bottom? I want to do each individual. Then I got the bridge. But yeah. Knowing how I remember things better, talking it out, like on long car rides, that just how my brain functions. So this is the best way for me to get it out. And then with technology's help, I can you know, fungicidal, absolute way to put it. Admittedly, it's also profoundly toxic, tested. Yeah, no. On CargoNet. God, this talking things out will help me get them out in order to write them. write them down and edit them into a somewhat of a... Oh. I feel bad for philosophers of the past because, like, just... They had so many extra steps, right? Like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of steps, but... Like, they didn't have a way to record it and know exactly what it was that they were thinking. They'd have to go back, try and remember their conversations with other people, other philosophers, write them down. Or half the time they didn't even write shit down. Other people wrote that shit down posthumously because they were just the oral tradition. And so it wouldn't... Wouldn't be doing that shit. It's just so weird, like, knowing the history of what I'm doing. And knowing it in the way I do, visually, through, you know, basically little fucking documentaries in my head, just, it feels like I was there someday. And I think about it. Think about things that I know. Historically speaking, my brain can just make little fucking documentaries. Fucking... Because, yeah, back in the day, philosophers would, you know, speak to one. The origins of philosophy with the group. You know, they would speak to one another and basically just share their opinion on life and humanity and meaning of life. You know, economic opinions, you know, how to run the economy, because back then we had a class system, and it was pretty shitty. Like, the class system was so bad back then that if you were not of a certain class, you would never be educated, except for by your family, farmers or herders or whatever, right? Like, so we as human beings just learned to, you know, philosophize and, you know, try to extract meaning from the world, not just alone, but together as a communal activity. And outside of the aristocracy, humanity hasn't had a situation where everybody engages in the same philosophical conversation. They they do occur, just the nature of them is different. For more of the rural and agrarian peoples of all of history, in general, their philosophical experience with the world was based around the religions and traditions they held, passed down through the family. So it's really, wow. Well, hmm. Now I understand why the KKK also hates Catholics. Wow. Almost like if I told some of these fucking hate groups, like, I just stood up to them and asked them some fucking questions about what they believe and let them know, oh, so you shouldn't exist then. Because most of these neo-Nazis these days, because of the way culture and society has intermingled us as people, as a world. Like the quote unquote purebloods, the Aryan race, they don't really even exist anymore. They never really even existed. It was a made up thing. Right? Like, and so from this made up thing, the prejudices were created. I did not side of this. Nope. But yeah, the eugenics and Nazi movement of Hitler created the Aryan race, concept of a white Aryan race. And their, you know, their requirements pretty stupid. And I mean, if you know anything about history, you know that Hitler wasn't an Aryan. Like, by the definition he's given in his book, he's not of the Aryan race. Well, not just from his book, but like, historically speaking, we know that he possibly had, you know, some Jewish heritage, and yet he was incredibly racist against the Jews. Though being of Jewish descent himself would have been, you know, lined up for execution in his fucking death camps. Like, it's just so weird, right? Like, if you explained to that to a neo-Nazi these days, like, if you ask them their familial parental history going back, you know, a couple of generations, hell, about 100 years, unless they fucking came over and only came consists of people who came over on the fucking Mayflower all the way back, there's no way they were remotely Aryan. Like, because that's the kind of purity that Hitler was going for. Like, and so he had to lie in order to achieve it and tell people that they were part of it. Because if he told them the truth, then all of the people that he was trying to follow, if he followed the definition he laid out of the Aryan race and only exterminated people who weren't Aryan, eventually there would be no humanity left. And that is the fucking paradox. Like, so if you explain that to people, they will eventually fucking realize that, oh shit, I'm basically advocating for my own demise. Like, the reason why they believe in it is because they're afraid of their own demise. They're afraid of their families' lineage being demised. They've been led to believe that there's an existential threat to them. And if they realize that existential threat does not exist, and has never existed, then we can pull some of them away from the extremist ideologies and make them even more of a minority until they just die out with the generations that conceived of their hatred and bigotry and all of it. Like, that's how you eradicate something like racism, is slowly, through generations of educating slightly more into the extremists. Pulling the ones that aren't as extreme away slowly. Because first, it was okay for us to own other humans, right? And then it was okay for them not to be owned, but to basically be poor and destitute their entire lives. Like, this is the racist minority that has led our country. The United States of America for the past, 200 years. First we thought of other humans as property. And then we thought, no one is each other's property, but you're allowed to be poor and destitute if you're of a different race. And then, we came in to trying to create this whiteness, this European whiteness. And that, in and of itself, was a complete misnomer. Because if you knew as much about the KKK as I do, as someone who's never been a member, but knows that members of my family have been members in the past, in, Nebraska, in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, and that area, yeah, no. I'm not fucking... I've got some really bad people in my familial history. Some fucking horrible people. You would not believe things I heard growing up from my uncles. The racist bullshit that would come out of nowhere about, like, fucking nothing. And my fucking family religiously watched CNN, right? Like, as I was growing up. So they weren't right wing. They were like really fucking pro Clinton and shit, right? But they were working class motherfuckers. Like, there's 3 pictures that my great grandma had up in the house that explained the political views of my family going, you know, in general. And it was a picture of Lincoln, a picture of Jesus, and a picture of FDR. Or not FDR, JFK. But yet, they watched the liberal media. But the thing is like, even within the house, like, they're among the siblings of my family. They've been fighting over racist political bullshit since I was a kid. Right? Like, my Uncle Mike and sometimes my Uncle Don and my aunts who worked at places would be, you know, a lot less racist than my great uncles who were mechanics. Like, because the people that my great uncles worked with were like the people whose cars they worked on. They mostly worked on, you know, the racist of racists in that town's fucking vehicles. Because they were the fucking KKK members, right? Of the town. Because they weren't... They were the KKK members without money. The ones who've been the only reason why the rich white fuckers started the KKK were ever able to get any sort of a foothold in anything. It's the white religious dumbasses. Right? And I hate to say it, but usually they are oftentimes, more often than not, you know, farmers. Because they're just so far away from everything in the United States. In other countries, farmers weren't here as, you know, separated from society class-wise as recently as farmers have been in the United States. Right? Like, because if your family immigrated here anytime since the American Revolution, and you weren't related to the founding fathers in any way, then you have no right to be white nationalists. Right? No one who can't trace their lineage back can claim to believe what these white nationalists believe. Because their belief is that the American white race is being usurped by minorities, right? That is what they believe. And there is no American white race unless you were fucking part of, you know, the fucking problem. Because the Founding Fathers was the last time that white people came to America. And here's why. Because the minute that they founded this country, it split everyone that was here from everyone who came here after. So it didn't matter if you came from France or Germany or England after the American Revolution. Because you were an immigrant. And immigrants have always been treated as we treat immigrants now. It's not even an American thing. It's a human thing. Every major country, every major historical event and war is because of immigration. The original peoples left Africa and moved across the various parts of the world. And then as they started moving back in the opposite direction, the people who stayed behind along their travels saw them as immigrants. The people who were there first, who never left. Right? The very first peoples in Europe from thousands of years ago, before written language. The natives who moved over here to the United States and North America 20, 30,000 years ago, before written history. We were all immigrants. We are. We're all one species. If you go back far enough, your hatred for one another based on racial lines is illogical. Because you are everything you hate if you're a racist. And you don't even need to go back that far, right? As I just said, just go back in the United States as far back as, say, Revolutionary War. There were plenty of people who came from England after. But they were always looked down upon by those who came initially. They were always excluded from the highest of the high society, etc., etc. If you've read stuff like Bronte, you'll understand. Like, the Civil War became about those who wanted to keep slavery and those who did not. And most of the ones who came over, who were immigrants themselves, from countries that did not have slaves anymore, They just practiced in the slave trade. By the time that 1776 came along, there were still slaves in England. Yes. But there was nowhere near as many slaves as England as there was in the United States. So when they came over and saw as many people enslaved as it was, and started, you know, rallying towards, you know, Abraham Lincoln to free the slaves, they weren't doing it just, you know, because they actually were not racist. They were doing it because they were less racist than the people who owned slaves. They still, most of them, believed that black people should not intermingle with white people, that they should not intermarry, etc. But they believed that they shouldn't be enslaved to each other. And so we're slowly working our way away from fucking being racist bastards. Like, I do want this to eventually wind up on the wrong side of the internet and have people question their belief in these sorts of things. Because I feel like if they took an examination of themselves and their familial history, they might realize just how little of an American they are. Because that's the thing, is you don't have to go back that many generations in most families to start having immigrants in their family. Or people of color in their family. It doesn't matter how close, but they're there. And thus, you could argue that if they're, you know, X amount of, you know, cousin removed is, you know, one of the people that they want to see dead, a few of them might change their mind. Because they're probably not thinking about that family member, right? They're not thinking about that they do have family in their thing. And the ones who do are fucking heinous. I mean, the ones that don't are pretty heinous too. They have a lot to a fucking atone for, but doesn't mean they shouldn't fucking try. Right? Like, that's the thing. Is you gotta fucking try. Like, if we didn't try to get better as we progressed in age as a human being and learn things, well, then we should just fucking stay babies. Why do we send people to school if not to learn? And even if you don't send your kids to school, you eventually teach your children how to fucking speak the language. Teach your children plenty of things, whether you realize it or not. A parent is the first teacher of a child. No, that's just the way shit is. I know some of the time you're not, you know, deliberately teaching your kid. You're not teaching them how to learn crawl or learn or stand. You just stand and walk around and don't think anything of it because human beings can fucking stand and walk around and do shit. What did I miss? Oh, that. Yeah, like in my family, my personal experience, the more rate, both of my freaking, the more racist member of my parents is my father, and he's less generations removed from immigrants than my mother is, right? Like, Slide Guard. Okay, where's the tower trim? Yeah, like, I just. In here. Here in the. Oh, it's right on the bottom. But yeah, my father's only like two generations removed from being an immigrant. So I don't quite get the racism. You know? Because why would you hate Mexican, not an American? You're an Italian American. There's the hyphen there for a fucking reason. We're Italian first. The people have forgotten that we come from elsewhere. Only people who are allowed to be racist in this country are fucking Native Americans. Because this was originally their land. Every last one of us is an up to Native. As I said, no reason for this bullshit. And in other countries, it was never true to begin with either. Same. Hitler was part Jew. I mean, he still did what he did, said what he said, but he was a hypocrite. Thing is that back then, anyone who could tried to tell him that he was a hypocrite, he'd get shot. Because by the time he got where he was, he could get away with it. But there's no fear telling someone they're a fucking hypocrite. What are they gonna do? Shoot you? They're not gonna get away with it. Unless they're a police officer. But if they're a police officer that's out of uniform and you're calling them on their bullshit, well, you. Many colors in the world, too many perhaps. Anyway, god damn it. Yeah, the new two jobs is a golf cart, attached house, on the golf cart. The mayor saying, "I need you to clean my sorry golf cart. Might have heard about my poor cat Ulysses going missing. We're all frantic with worry that the ceremony just around the corner. I swear I saw him on the golf course frolicking by the lily pads in the lake by the 13th par 3, but I always get a birdie. Obviously. By the time I realized it was just a bolsterous cart, it was too late. I slammed on the brakes and went tumbling down the slopes head over tail. Don't worry, docs have given me the all clear, said that they've never seen anyone recover from such a minor incident in so little time. But the cart needs the hose down." Now, I could really offend people. Give him a Trump accent. I don't have the patience. Aristotle. Can't put you in the car? Yes, I can. Oh, you rolled out. There, you're staying in the cart. Clean around you. Do 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 do. Yeah, fucking right. human race is dealing with heart crisis, climate change. Whether it's our fault or not, fucking do something about it. I don't like fucking droughts. You don't like fucking droughts. Droughts cause fucking food shortages. Yep, that canopy. Ah! On this side. All a block. Thatched house. Oh, this is the witchcraft house. Cards on the table. We live at the old house of Esther Death. Esther Death. The eccentric actress who played Wicked Witch in the classic movie vanished mysteriously in the national park. We don't mind if the furniture moves around a little. Just next level feng shui, but the grubby exterior is really getting to us. All the other power washers in town are too scared to set foot in our yard. All the others are too scared to sit on the yard, huh? Creepy sign on the outside of the house. Nothing to worry about. According to Jenny's research, written Nokian. Oh, fun. That's cat print. Might take more than an hour. But, fine. Fine. driveway. And I keep fucking up. These large levels, like, the best way to do them, even speedrunners get like this. They just don't get fucking... They don't get as stumped. Know exactly, like, how far supposed to go. Then they know when to switch to the right other tools. I don't know these things. I don't care. I just want to play some Power Wash. Talk about it. Like, we owe it to each other. Be better as humans. No? I can't remember some of the other topics. I really have to try and, like, down after supper, go through some of the stuff that I've written down, or moving it over to the final document. I mean, like, the first draft document. No? The draft that says basically I ain't got a fuck. Almost there. Haven't played this in so long. Like, I can't remember what, because I was playing it through early access. Right? I cannot remember for the life of me when they allowed you to get the better uh, I can't Can't, like, not think. No? So rough. Have to be thinking of it. Just do really wish I could. And just, I don't know. Feels so sad, you know? Felt like life has not had a lot of. Or lately, I mean, last. People forget. Like, I've been seeing since 2017, right? Pretty sure I started seeing. Yeah, like, been doing this for years. And so, I mean, I know that the likelihood that I'm ever going to make a studying non-existent. No. It's, Twitch is like YouTube, where it's a place where either got in at the ground floor or, you know, you didn't. And I didn't get in at the I didn't get anywhere near the ground, right? So just possible. I mean, it's not impossible. You know, that's why likely, after all of this, starting to actually edit the pieces together, I may, but it might be error down there. At a point where, like, I ain't got a clue. At a point where, like, I'll yawn. And no one's gonna fucking watch it. Like 3 or 4 views on my YouTube video. Thing is, if I keep the archive and it gets published, I get to publish final result, I'll have higher process recorded. I know maybe someone's done it. Not technology. But it hasn't been done very often. And so it almost could be part of the art. Go back through and process after the fact. grass. Shit. See it. I don't know how much of the process document final draft either. I'm definitely gonna, write down how I worked on it. Part of my I don't fully understand how it's gonna look and if anyone will ever be publishing whatever this. Because I'm not, already famous. So, it would be a bit of heavy duty 1,000, but it's 40, but I'm not that far away from it, right? Just gonna hold off on that. Because the medium duty is 900 and not that much of I mean, it kind of is. Guess I'll buy this. I'll use it. And that should be enough. Stubby or okay, that's where we go. I don't know if it'll ever get published. I have to try, right? I have to try to be the first person to actually get some sort of a philosophy book out there in the modern day that's not, an academic. That's the thing. It's so many philosophers aren't. They're just all academics. They're all. Philosophy is become very segregated from the people. And it is, but it isn't. The books are out there to read, but it's not something that's taught in schools. It's taught in colleges, right? So unless you know what you're doing, or you're deliberately trying, in the end, it's really not a lot, you know. Not a lot of ability. Literally all of this railing is together? Oh, fuck you. Because, yeah, like, nobody's really... No one's really made accessible philosophy. No? Nobody's made it to a point where we can try and say that we have an ethically, philosophically educated public. Right? Not until, you know, college education is free will we have that. And how do we get that without, you know, advocating for these things? I mean, I'm probably preaching to the choir for anyone who would eventually read this, but again, so much of our discourse is snippets and as part of TikToks, and that's not gonna work for everybody. How do we look back upon this era without published media? Somehow or some way, the media has to be published. Right? Like, at some point, it needs to be published somewhere. Online. You know. Anywhere. I mean, honestly, it's almost like I want to start a new... Oh. That railing. Come on. Here's your bullshit. You're an asshole. God, you're an asshole, railing. Fuck. Yeah, like, I just don't know how to... leave a legacy. Now, ideas last lifetime. we're still talking about Socrates and Aristotle in the year 2022 when they lived eons ago. Right? They're of a time and a place when anything we have today would basically be magic to. I mean, I live in a rural area with Amish in the vicinity, and some of them have some very interesting beliefs. As far as, what is and isn't witchcraft. Like, they're not as strict as you would think, but they're still somewhat strict, you know? Not coming around in horses and buggies, but anything newer than like 1900, they're easily 100 years behind on the technology. That's the amount of conservative they are. I mean, that just proves that we have stuff now that 100 years ago would have been magic. Would have been, seen as witchcraft. So imagine what it's going to be like in 100 years. Can't continue the way we've been, right? Like, this generation has been rough. Ever since Reagan office, shit has gone downhill. And we all know that it's fucking Reagan's. We really do. But no one's gonna fucking, wanna, say that Reagan bad if you're over the age of 50. So it's a situation. It's untenable. Older generation needs to give it up to those of us who are under the age of 50. And it means control of this country, where it goes in the future. And the world and where it goes in. Because it's not just the United States that has a problem with everybody in fucking office being older than shit. Queen died recently. Her son is in his 70s. And he is their new monarch. But he represents everything that the monarchy has stood for, good and bad, because he does not have the same feelings towards it as his children do. Children who were ruined by it. Because they got to watch their parents divorce, and their mother die, all the spectacle. Realize that it doesn't mean. Because it doesn't. Makes some people feel better. That's it. But it's not a tradition we need to hold on to. Don't have to hold on to tradition at all. Make choices based on what is best, not what has been done before. Because to do based on what has been done before leads to stagnation. Stagnation is not what we want as the human race, right? Like, we've always been progressing, we've always been advancing. Just because we're advancing fast doesn't mean we need to slow down or stop, right? It's not wrong. Things change. Change is not... It's scary, but it's not preventable. Change is a fact of it. Because you will eventually start to get old and your body will start to fuck off on you, and that's a change you don't want. And change happens. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Oftentimes it's a little both. But in the end, we have to think not about ourselves, but about those who come after us, if there are any who will come after us. Don't want a situation where there is no future. I hear what rumbling noise? What rumbling? Hey, Mikado. Let me put the washer on spin. Fucking scared the shit out of me there, Aura. Thought goddamn volcano was blowing. Anyway, philosophy needs to be more accessible. If philosophy were as accessible as religion, I'm pretty sure there would be a hell of a lot less religious people in of all faiths. People would be deciding for themselves on a lot of this. Post. That post. Doing good. Making progress. Still very angry at myself for buying this. nozzle. Should have just held out for that plan. But by the time that I get 40 stars, I should have... a good amount of stuff. I'm also under the thought that, like, the soap has always been so weird in this game, right? Like, I started playing before they did the fixes to soap, and I still feel like soap doesn't quite work how soap actually works. And it feels like it doesn't really help. So, I'm not using soap, I'm just using the power washer. And that is going to save me money. I'm probably going to have the best of the best of the best power washer before, you know, I did in my last playthrough. This is going to be a lot faster. What do you mean? I'm not allowed to on this platform. Which don't like man nipples. Or lady nipples. Or nipples at all. Yeah, but that's not fair. No. Yeah, but where's the fun in that? No fun in that, Bewitched. None at all. So, Bewitched, I do have the old PC. It just might need a new CPU eventually. Okay. Yeah, I do. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the old computer. And now it's just sitting. Still unsure what I'm going to do with it. And I don't know, but you might actually have the ability to at least pay to frickin' have it shipped. I do not believe that Desi would have money to pay to have even the frickin' parts shipped. I have absolutely. Training. I mean, I'd have to take it apart and bubble wrap it for shipping, but it definitely can be done. The shipping of it, I mean. Like, I'm not even entirely sure I want to sell it, right? Like, because I'm not sure if, part of it is gonna, go out. Because that's the fear that's why I bought this damn computer. Otherwise, I wouldn't have this computer. I'd still be on the old one. Just waiting and hoping that it never fucking broke. Yeah, exactly. Because I'd rather just have someone pay for shipping than actually pay for the, you know, pay me for the shipping and maybe a couple bucks for the fucking pain in the ass that it's gonna be to ship it, but that's about it. Right? Like, not. It's not worth more than that right now. No? I mean, especially when pretty much the only thing worth any money in there is like 7 years old and used, so it's like I just don't want to. I want to sell it and have exactly. That's part of the thing. Is like if it went to you, it'd be fine if it was just for the shipping because it's technically a business investment. And then I don't have to worry so much about, oh, if it freaking goes out in a year or so, well, called, once you get stuff started with the computer, oh shit. Helping that poor little play school. Old Mother Hubbard. But how you go? What do you mean careful around? UFO pop out of the top. Oh, fun. Totally want that. UFO, I mean. Yeah, like, the Memoir thing is, you know, eventually I'll figure out a way to edit it and maybe try and get it published. I mean, it's just something I've wanted to do. I mean, part of my inspiration for it is Seven Deadly Sins and the, God, I can't remember the long-ass title for the other one, but the one about ghosts. 2 Corey Taylor books I own. It's like, yeah, he's a fucking nut job. But he's like the only person I can think of, and the only reason why he was able to get away with it was because of, you know, prior fame, but like, it says it has to be that way, right? Saying that there's not a fucking market for philosophy that's also sort of a memoir, you know? Like, just kind of proving that anybody can, you know, this, that it's not like some exclusive club. I mean, from what I've read, it always feels like it's such an aristocratic fucking situation, right? Like, and in our day and age, the aristocrats rule everything. They're rarely, if ever, gonna fucking actually put a single foot towards ethically helping people, you know? They don't give a shit. Yeah, like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, it's more along the lines of their interest. They need enough to go off of to actually invest. They don't want to have to do all the work. You know what I mean? They want you to not just be the idea person. You have to actually do some of the work. And that's kind of bullshit. It really is. Because what is a director if not an idea person behind the fucking camera? Shouting orders at everybody. I mean, we let it fucking happen in film. Exactly. It's like, can't. Like, you can't try and expand into a new market without, you know, doing half the fucking work yourself. And that's what the Philosophy Memoir is I have to do the fucking legwork to prove that this, you know, philosophy for the common man exists. And try and help be, you know, part of something greater than myself. I'm not gonna fucking be an egotistical dick about it. I fucking came up with a goddamn idea. The Philosophy Memoir. I'm sure it's an idea that's been had before. It's just never been acted upon, to my knowledge. And what is not change if not action taken to an idea that you have and want to see in the world? Technology is invented, and you fucking invent that shit. Fucking don't just have the idea, you find somebody to fucking help you execute. No man is an island. No woman either. No human is an island. But yeah, like, no shit, plenty of places would have, interest. Like, Plex Storm existed for a brief period of time, but, like, I don't know, I can't remember what country they were running out of. But they were running out of, like, what was it? Poland, maybe? Denmark? And they were trying to base it off of crypto. Like, so as crypto started to get away from the GPU mining and more of a proof of worth as opposed to the proof of stake, as opposed to, like, whichever one it is that they're going into now that's getting the GPU problem going. It's all a bunch of bullshit because people are just trying to cling to the idea of money, but yeah, it was a terrible idea. I was just happy that a place like that existed to try out, right? Like, I got a little bit of an audience there. And that's the thing, is like, it's not even so much gonna be about doing the, you know, part of the excitement of stuff like that is getting in on the ground floor. Like, it happened when Twitch first started. A lot of people from YouTube went over to Twitch, right? And then, fuck, what was the Microsoft one? The one that Microsoft bought. And then dumped after like a couple of months. Because it wasn't making them as much money as they thought it was. But the thing is that those were being run under the premise of, like, making a larger company money. And, like, if it's its own thing, I don't see why it should need to be, uber profitable off the bat. Right? Because that's the thing, is most businesses don't make money until, like, 2 or 3 years in. At least. So, even a modest profit after 2 years is a success. But people don't realize that. People are, like, too into scaling up. Exactly. Like, having crypto as an option for payment, yes. However, basing the only way for your people to get paid off of that? Crypto? No. No, 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 no. Because Plex didn't last that long, from what I saw. Maybe about a year. But the people who were, like, big on there for that year, they got a little screwed. financially by it. And I mean, it's not even about... You know... It's about having more of a, you know, union. That's part of the problem with Twitch and YouTube, is that it's run exclusively by some higher ups at fucking Google and Amazon who have never streamed a single second in their lives, and they're the ones determining how many cents to a dollar, you know, your people get for their views, right? So, like, why would you... Yeah, exactly. It should not be that much. Just a situation where, like, can't expect anyone to, you know, help you start it, so we just gonna have to fucking find a way ourselves. And getting that first proof of concept will help to get in that, you know, modest investment. I mean, you know as well as I do, Baywitch, that, like, a lot of startups are asking for a lot. I mean, you know as well as I do that, like, we'll fucking go to Shark Tank with an idea and they're asking for millions, right? Like, that's what people think of for starting a business, is that you need millions of dollars, right? And that's just not true. You need to, you know, look at what you need to start, like, at a, you know, modest level, and be like, okay, we can start with this, and then we can look for partners and expand from there. Right? Like, that's how you do it. You don't start big and hope to, you know, be profitable immediately. You start small, and if you are profitable, then you expand. And you're not out as much time, energy, you know, labor, etc. if it fails and you put less finances in. Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter what you start with, you can still go bankrupt if the idea is bad. Right? So, like, it's just a matter of figuring shit out. Exactly. Because if you expand too fast, then all of your flaws are exposed exponentially. And I'm not like saying that specifically as like, oh, the flaws in, you know, your business idea. It's like, no, flaws in how you run the day-to-day operation. It's as simple as somebody, you know, having X number of typos per hour. Like, if you have to exponentially, you know, expand, someone who's making like one error an hour is now going to be making dozens, if not hundreds, of errors an hour. Just because we're not built to, like, you know, speed up that fast. Because they'll expand without like considering what it actually takes to do the work, and then people will get burnt out and fucking quit very quickly, and then they'll just not give a shit. And exactly, like, it's as simple as that. Like, if you're not fucking doing your day-to-day operations right, it's gonna fuck you over. Like the grocery store I'm working for, they charge too much for their customers. And I know they charge too much because the same dude owns another store about 50, 100 miles up the road. And the prices at the other store are cheaper. But yet, we're along a major highway. We have a rail, like, a rail line through here. Like, why is it that we're more expensive than somewhere that's a little bit more out of the way? That shouldn't be happening. That is pure greed from the owner. The guy setting the prices. Because he wants to eke out a little bit more profit off the same merchandise in another market. If he was an ethical businessman, the prices would be the same across the board. And by prices, I mean markup. Yeah. Like, that just screams bad management. And bad management can ruin anything. Right? Like, the best laid plans, right? It's an old saying. Or variations thereof. Like, you can plan and plan, but if you fuck up in your execution, there ain't no helping your fuck up. I mean, that's why I still to this day say that no one has ever actually had a Marxist revolution. They haven't. Because it's always become something else after the fact. The intentions may have been for that, but it never turned into it. Because the wrong people were in power. People who wanted power were in power. People who wanted to stay in power were in power. They were in charge of the revolutions, and the revolutions thus failed. They became dictatorships. Yeah, I mean, if you take an idea and start working on it and get investors, slowly build yourself up and, you know, expand accordingly instead of trying to, you know, force a buttload more work onto the few people you started with, that is ridiculous. We've had so many opportunities for society to right our from the racist, bigoted past, but we have done a fucking shit job, right? Touched you. Exactly. Like, you can expand your role as you want. Not a fucking M. Exactly. I mean, in the end, the point is just to have an alternative. And, I mean, it really does feel like it's time for an alternative. One that's, you know, at least partially run by the people who are fucking on it. I mean, if everybody's at least somewhat, you know, equal in their, you know, involvement, then it's a little bit easier to, like, gauge their, you know, sincerity. You know, if they got a foot in the game, they're not gonna be, you know, fucking around. Hopefully. I mean, you can't expand until you start. You can't have to exist before you really do anything else. Existence precedes essence. How am I missing a spot in this? Are you on this side? Yeah, you're at the fucking tip. God damn it. Ladder for it. Where'd I put the ladder? Help! Finally! Fucking veranda, man. Nuts. Oh, get this veranda. You're an asshole! There's the bridge. Fucking wooden trim around this goddamn house, huh? Murder you all! Here's the last piece. Finally got it done. Finishing, screeching attics, face, well, gray feather floating. I think it was Esther's soul leaving. Finally at peace. Oh, really? Do you? Career mode. House. Skate park. Okay, that's a good end for probably the next shoe house and skate park. Game's nuts though. So if I do the skate park, I'll have enough for the next upgrade on the washer exactly when I could get it. So I'm probably going to start with the skate park next. That's some good power washing. Now it's time for food.